First one coming from a cringy trap. If you could ask God 5 questions, what would they be?
Should I? Okay. You know what? I'm drinking from my "we all die and there is no God, get over it" mug. Maybe I should harness that part of me. Like I said, I don't make any kind of extreme claims or anything. This mug is just edgy. That's why I own it. But what 5 questions? I guess I could ask 5 edgy questions. I'll give you a couple of edgy questions. Why do you allow people to die and suffer instead of saving their lives? Okay, so that's a standard question that a lot of atheists and even Christians ask. Why is there suffering? But here's an even better question. Here's my number one question I would ask God if I met God. Why didn't you quarantine Adam and Eve and give Adam a vasectomy and just like let them live the rest of their 80 years and or however many, and just not let them reproduce and create a new breeding pair? Why didn't you do that? It seems like it's your fault that all of these billions and billions of people have died throughout history when you could have just quarantined them and created a new breeding pair. I'm blaming that one on God.
This one coming from Voice 2 did everything wrong. Thoughts on anarchy, Telltale?
Wait, was that name Voice 2 did everything wrong?
Voice 2 did everything wrong.
Okay, that's correct. Thank you. Yes, I like that name. That's a good name. One more time. What was the question? I was only paying attention to the Voice 2 thing.
What are your thoughts on anarchy?
What are my thoughts on anarchy? Okay, that's an interesting question, actually, because a lot of people view anarchy as just zero government, zero kind of structure, societal structure of any sort, when actually it's not like that. Anarchy so in any social system, there is going to be some kind of social order imposed. Just look at the drug war as an example. They do this thing called the decapitation strategy, where they try to cut off the head, they try to cut off the supply, take out the leader, and they hope that the rest of the organization or the body surrounding it or whatever is going to fall away. But they've tried that like a billion times throughout history, and it just does not work that way. With the drug war, with Iraq, it didn't work that way. Do you know what happened when we took out Saddam Hussein? There was a power vacuum, and the next guy in line took authority. And if we take out like all the next guys in line, somebody else is going to take power. Guess who it was in that case? It was ISIS. ISIS took power there because we took out Saddam Hussein. He was keeping ISIS out. So the whole decapitation strategy does not work. It didn't work in Iraq, doesn't work in the drug war either. Getting back to the whole anarchy thing, there will be societal structure, whether it's run by a government or not. In the case of anarchy, people who draw up plans for anarchist systems usually plan for private companies to run things and make the laws. A purely capitalist style system where you get to pick which fire department you want to put out your house if it's on fire. And you have to pay them a certain amount of money every month to make sure, basically like fire insurance, that kind of thing. That's the type of system that an anarchist plans for, basically, from my understanding. Most anarchists view it that way. There won't be, it's not like no societal structure. It's like no government. There is still societal structure. So anyway, I think it sounds like a nice idea on paper, but just like communism, once it leaves the paper and goes to practice, it falls to pieces. And you can honestly see a lot of the major flaws in it without even trying to put it into practice. So yeah, it would never work. An anarchist system wouldn't work. If it did, it would have to be a really small society that worked together and trusted each other.
This one's from Nevada. Do you think it's unethical to deprogram elderly JWs?
Oh man, that's a good question. Like, I feel like I don't remember if I talked about this on my video from Sunday. The video was about the fact that my grandfather has lung cancer, and I was talking to his wife, Sue, on the phone, and she was telling me, I was like, how are you handling this? Like, what are your thoughts on this? What's going through your head? What are you thinking about it? And she basically said she's just leaning on the Lord. What's my response there? What do I say? Do I say, we all die and there is no God, get over it? Or do I just leave it alone? Do I let her believe it? That's what I do. And that's what I did. I let her believe it. I leave it alone. I think it's preferable to understand true things and believe true things and know true things. In cases of tragedy, in situations where you may be near the end of your life or whatever, I'm not going to insert myself into that situation and burst people's bubbles. I'm going to leave it alone because it could be genuinely psychologically damaging to them to come to that realization at that moment. Like, I came to the realization that there is no God, or I came to realize that Christianity is false at the very, very bare minimum when I was like 21 or 22, somewhere in there. So I had the time that it takes to process that and accept the fact that one day I'm not going to be here. One day I am going to die. One day we are all going to die, bottom line. And it's very possible that there is nothing on the other side waiting for me. Like I said, this is not my claim. We all die and there is no God, get over it. That's not my claim. I'm not making a claim. I don't know. It's possible. Maybe there is something. Show me the evidence. And I will look at it with an honest, open mind and decide. So far, I've been in the atheist debate scene for years and years, and I haven't seen a shred of evidence that was compelling in any way, honestly. Maybe a couple that kind of pulled me a little bit in one direction or the other, but honestly, it's just, it all seems like nonsense to me. So, coming to realize that it's possible that there is no God is a really hard thing to deal with. It's hard to be an atheist sometimes. And putting somebody through that at the end of their life is inadvisable. Now, as far as Jehovah's Witnesses go, you don't have to be an atheist to be an ex-Jehovah's Witness. I don't see anything wrong with trying to show people the truth about things. Like, obviously, Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong. I think that's self-evident. Like, they've made so many claims throughout history that are just complete BS, that have fallen flat every single time. It just seems obvious to me, honestly. And I feel like you can still believe in God as an ex-Jehovah's Witness. So if you're wondering if you should try to move somebody away from Jehovah's Witnesses when they're elderly, my answer would be, you're going to have to figure that out for yourself. Because I'm not in that situation. You are. You know best what choice to make here. But I'm not opposed to helping anybody of any age out of the religion. Just try to address the religious claims, like the Jehovah's Witnesses claims. Focus on that and go from there. And just see where it goes. Okay, I got a super chat from Icy Wolf. What are your thoughts on people who are spiritual? I feel like spiritual is like an amorphous, ill-defined term, so I'm honestly not even really sure what to... Like, I don't even know what to say about it when somebody tells me they're spiritual. I don't know how to take it or what it means or what they even mean. I don't think they even know what they mean when they say spiritual. Does that mean they believe in God a little bit, or does that mean they believe in magic, or what does it mean? I don't know. I don't know what it means. Anyway, I don't know. Whatever. I mean, if somebody tells me they're spiritual, that's okay with me. You can be spiritual if you want, but I feel like you should probably define yourself a little bit more clearly than that, because that's honestly a very confusing term to a lot of people. If you like what I do and you want to make sure I can continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, you can support me on Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. I'm trying to make a shirt design for every cult I've covered. I haven't gotten every one, but I'm working on it. So check it out and see if your cult is up there. Second, you can support me by checking out my game shop. I sell controller, cartridge, and game box stands for every system from the original Nintendo and Sega Game Gear to the Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. So give that a look too. And finally, if you want to support me in some way other than monetarily, you can check out my other YouTube channels. I have a retro game channel where I answer questions like, why does Shy Guy have a mask? And why are CRT TVs the best way to play retro games? I also have the podcast where I talk about stuff I don't feel I can say on a monetized channel. And finally, I have my main channel where I talk about cults. I wish I didn't have to worry about dancing around subjects carefully in the first place, but I chose to do this as a full-time job, so unfortunately I rely on YouTube's AdSense and on the support of patrons to continue doing the work I do. Anyways, check me out in all those places if you haven't already. Thanks for listening, guys.